Section 3.3.RA-3. A sample of college students was asked about how much they spent monthly on delivered Thai food. We want to approximate the standard deviation for the cost. So if we look at the first column, we have the monthly Thai food cost, and these are the classes. The second column is the number of students, and therefore this is the frequency. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to find the midpoints of the lower class limits. So we're going to take 10 and add 20 and then divide it by 2. So 20 plus 10 divided by 2 gives us 15. Then we're going to take 20 and then add 30. So we get 30 plus 20, divide that by 2, and that gives us 25. The next lower class limit, we're going to take 30 and 40. So 40 plus 30, divide that by 2 gives us 35. And then we have 50 and 40. And divide that by 2 to give us 45. And then we want to go one more lower class limit after the last lower class. So we're going to go 50 to 60, and then add that and divide it by 2 to give us 55. So therefore you can see here that our class midpoints now are the following. So here are your class midpoints. And so for each class, our midpoints are 15, 25, 35, 45, and then 55. Okay, and then recall here that we have the frequency. So the frequencies are up here. So for the first class, it's 6, 17, 29, 15, and then 6. The next thing we want to do is we then want to first find out what is when we add the total frequency. So we want to find the total frequency. So we're going to add 6 with the 17 plus 29 plus 15 plus 6, and that's going to give us 73. And then we're going to multiply 15 times 6 to get 90. 25 times 17 to get 425, 35 times 29 to get 1015, 45 times 15 to get 675, and 55 times 6 to get 330, because we're multiplying the midpoint times the frequency. So now we want to find the sum of those by adding all of those numbers up to give us $2,535. So now in order to find the sample mean, what we want to do is we want to first take the numerator, which is 2,535, which is the sum of the midpoints times the frequency, divided by the sum of the frequency, which is 73. So now we get a sample mean of $34.73. Now, if we want to be able to find the sample standard deviation, what we want to do is we're now going to create 4, 5, and 6 lists. And so in order to figure out the first row, we're going to take the midpoint and then subtract the sample mean. So let's take a look here. We're taking the midpoint and subtracting the sample mean to get negative 19.73. So 15 minus 34.73. Then we're taking the next midpoint, which is 25, and we're going to subtract the mean again. So 25 minus 34.73 gives us negative 9.73. And 35 minus 34.73 gives us 27 cents. 45 minus 34.73 gives us $10.27. And then 55 minus $34.73 gives us $20.27. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these values that we got, and then we're going to square it. So we're going to take negative 19.73, square it to get 389.27, and we're going to do the same thing here. 9.73, square it to get 94.67, 27 cents, we're going to square it to get 0.07. 10.27, square that to get 105.47, and then 20.27 squared to get 410.87. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this value here that we got, 389.27, and then we're going to multiply it by the frequency. And so there we get 2,335.62. And then again, we're going to take each value here. So we got 94.67, 0.07, 105.47, 410.87. And then we're multiplying it by the frequency. So 17 times 94.67 to give us 1,609.39. 0.07 times the next frequency, which is 29, to give us $2.03. 105.47 times 15, which is the next frequency, to give us 1,582.05. And 410.87 times the last frequency, 6, to get us 2,465.72. So let's take a look here. So here is our result. So here we have that. So now that we found those results, now we can determine the standard deviation. So we want to find the sum of all that. So we're going to add up those numbers. And when we add them all up, we get a total of $7,994.31. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the sum of that, the sum of what we found there, and we also need to find the total frequency, and we're going to use the sample standard deviation formula. So the sample standard deviation formula is taking the square root of the total of what we just found divided by the frequency minus 1. So you can see here that we have the total that we just found, $7,994.31, and then we're dividing that by the sum of the frequency minus 1, and then taking the square root of that number. So if we take a look at our calculator, we can take the square root in the numerator. In parentheses, we have 7,994.31, and then divide that by 73 minus 1, close that parenthesis, and we get 10.537, but we're going to round it to 2 decimal places. So we get 10.54 for the sample standard deviation.